Hello and welcome back. We have a different video today. So as you can see here, I've got all these kind of little containers full of cars, and they're just a big old pile of carded cars at the back there. So these are all the customs that I either had plans for, started doing, and basically didn't finish or didn't work, or just something went completely wrong. In fact, there are some cars that should be here. I'll go and grab them now. Right, there we are. In fact, there's so many cars that went wrong, I forgot that I had about 5 sort of successful cars. Anyway, you get a glimpse of them. I'm going to get them out the screen, get them out of the way, and we'll go through some of the mishaps before we get to some of the better ones. So, custom Hot Wheels. I'm sure you've all seen those people that can restore red lines and make their own amazing customs by turning completely transforming vehicles and cutting bits off and adding engines and tampos and all these amount of details that are really, really good. Now, I'd love to be able to do that sort of thing, much like many other things, but I've not quite mastered it. I just thought I'd make this video to sort of go over some of the ideas I've had, some of the trials and what's gone wrong, sort of show off what I'm learning while trying to do this, hopefully get back into it, and maybe if anyone else is struggling themselves, yeah, it isn't that easy. Some of those YouTubers, damn, they make it look so easy. So we'll start off this side. We've got all these cars that are sorted into like little boxes. I shall quickly pan down the camera. So here we have sort of one of the unfinished customs. So this is one of the Mark II Golfs. Post has been drilled out. This one has kind of a rear tab that clicks in, so I imagine this will actually, yep, come out and unclick. Oh, I haven't even drilled the post. I've just literally drilled the wider bit out and undone it. So this is really early on, and I really was struggling to get these posts done. So this was actually going to be sort of a die-cast version of the Slavic car that Life of Boris made in that popular video of his. I was really into his videos at the time and that kind of stuff, and I wanted to make a little die-cast of it, and I never really figured out how to do the stripes and never got round to it. And it has sat in here since, because I'm lazy. So there's that. There's nothing much to see with that one. Somewhere in here, there is some reasonable stuff coming up, but this one, we all know this, Roger Dodger. And there's a quick look at the base. This one, I think I have drilled out the posts. I don't know if I've managed to do, like, tap them out so it can fit a screw. And when I first did these, I actually bought I had the wrong size drill bits. I had like 1.5mm drill bits, and I was trying to put 2.5mm like tap and screws in, which didn't work. As long as you use the right drill bits and the right screws, it all kind of works. And I've bought since then screws that are different sizes, and screws that are like just normal posi drive. I did have some that were like a little hex drive, and they just kept rounding off. So sometimes it's better to not cheap out. So this here has been repainted. I think this could have been one of the Valentine's ones, I'm not sure. But it's definitely been repainted, and it's had an engine swap. So this has got an engine out of a car that is over here. I thought this engine looked quite cool. I don't actually remember what it had before, to be honest. But I just thought this engine fit quite well. It's got the exhaust down here, as some of the older castings had the exhaust coming out the side of the engine bay. Yeah, I can't remember what inspired me to do this one, why this engine in particular. All I know is I sort of got round to doing it. The paint didn't come out anywhere near as nice as I'd liked. It's all kind of satin, it's all pitted, it doesn't look very nice. Really wants sort of polishing out, and just, I don't know, the red wasn't quite doing it for me. It was sort of an off colour, and the engine is slightly crooked. Problem is now it's super glued in. Plus you can sort of see around through the edges, so you can see behind there. It just didn't want quite right. You see the screws. Oh, actually the screws are in there as well. So I must have what ones are these? These are the proper ones. So I must have actually got that one to work. But again, it just didn't go right, and I didn't quite like it. Now, when I was doing these, I was using spray paints, and that could be why. I have since bought, but actually I got gifted it for Christmas, an airbrush kit, but I've never got round to looking up how to use it. I don't actually know how to use it and like what paints it needs, because you need to like thin them down and all that, and you know, some speckled paints you can't put in it because it won't fit out the knot. It's all quite, there's a lot to it. And I've been meaning to build a paint booth that vents out all the fumes for years now. I never got round to it. Yeah, these things have been sitting here for so long. It's quite sad to look at. So this is where the engine of that last one come from. This is a El Camino. I really love this truck. It's so cool, and this design is really, really nice. Again, it's left undone. I think the posts are all done, drilled and tapped, because I finally got sort of semi-used to doing that, and I could actually do it quite well. I really love the design of this one, but I just think the engine sticking out the back of it is just overkill. I know it's quite a big thing, and like Hot Wheels have always done that, and it's quite a sort of statement of Hot Wheels, but sometimes it's just too much for me. And I have got a version of this truck where it's like just normal, and it's really, really cool, but I really liked this paint job. So I wanted to keep this paint job intact, but what I was left with was a horrible gaping hole. Now, and there's nothing to connect the rear screen to. So I was going to have to try and putty it up and then respray it without it leaking. And every time I use masking tape on these, it just seems to all seep under. It's a shame. But this doesn't actually need that much. I just want to smooth it out, paint it black like the rest of that, and then I think this would be a really cool little custom. Like, it's sort of de-customised in a way. But yeah, its engine did go on to a Roger Dodger, which I thought looked quite cool. This one here is pretty special. So we'll go on. This will be quite interesting. So this is an abomination. This is it's flaking off, an abomination. It's leaking bits of paint everywhere. So obviously this is a GCR. Well, what's left one. It looks like it's sort of been involved in a fire. There's all its pieces in there. Add lots of flecks of paint. So this is a cool idea gone horribly wrong. So I was in this big phase of dip dyeing, and I saw some lady dip dyed her Hot Wheels car, but like dipped the whole thing in paint. And I thought, this would be a really cool like sort of thing for a Hot Wheels car. You can dip dye your own Hot Wheels car, take it apart, take the paint off, dip dye it, and then you get this really cool looking effect. I looked into it, and most sites just said any old spray. They weren't really specific. It just seemed like any old spray paint with some warm water would do the trick. Now, I tried this over and over again, and every time I just got worse and worse results, and it just did not work. Now, I sort of gave up with it in the end, thinking I'm going to have to do some research into what paints I need. Maybe I need more expensive spray paints, but since trying it on other things, I've never had very good results with dip dyeing stuff. So, or hydro dipping or hydro painting, I'm not really sure what the proper name for it is if you're using paint. You can also buy hydro dipping sheets that are like a certain pattern or colour. You lay it on the water, then you dip them in it. I haven't tried them. Now, you can buy tester sheets for like a couple of quid on eBay before you buy a really big piece to wrap like some bigger item, like a car bonnet or something, you know, or a wheel. And they would be perfect, because one of them sheets would actually probably be able to do multiple, like 2 or 3, or they'd probably be able to do about 2 or 3 Hot Wheels cars, so it'd be like a really cool option. Now that I definitely have to try out at some point. But yeah, again, something I never got around to doing, and this is kind of what was left of trying it out with this here GTR. I need to find some better spray paints. If anyone actually knows what paints are good to do hydro dipping with, then be sure to let me know, and we'll definitely revisit it, but we'll probably try it with those sheets first. Right, so now this is another one. It's all still in pieces. I don't know, it's kind of a half done progress, this one. So I do love a Dodge Challenger, the old 1970 Dodge Challenger. I really, really love it. I think it's an awesome car, and I wanted to make just remake my own sort of custom one. Repaint it, put some cool alloys on it. Again, I used the same spray paint I think this was done in. I think I went a little bit thicker and did a I can't remember if I did a different base coat. I think I might have done a base coat on this one to try and make it a bit lighter, but it sort of worked. But again, like the roof there, it's kind of patchy, and it's just not the right colour. Now, I never actually did. I was going to do it two-tone. I was going to do... Or was I? I'm trying to think back, it's so long. No, I was going to try and keep the line in the middle of the car. I wanted to keep it, the Zamac metal, to have this sort of chrome effect. But I realised I'm going to have to get like the masking perfect, and I've never actually taken the masking off before. So, and I probably should have done this while the paint was still slightly wet. This will probably backfire. And I spent a very long time masking this off, but shall we take... Oh yeah, the tape's gone really like sticky and awful. Ugh. Still, let's see what happens. What does it look like under the sticky mess? See, if I try painting the rest of this now, it probably won't adhere very well. Oh my god, there's blue tack as well. I suppose it worked. Plus, I didn't want to paint over the lights. I like having custom lights and things. I don't know how people do it. I don't know if they print their own vinyls or... But some people get like perfect lights every time. Well, I tell you what, it don't actually look too bad, but you can see there's a little bit of leakage. The paint has seeped through a tiny bit, perhaps because I left it too long to dry or something. Yeah, but I suppose the concept and idea is there. To be fair, ignoring the colour, that is a pretty good outcome actually. So, but I've kind of actually gone over that line anyway, so I think all I can do to really save this is to go slightly above the line, paint it black, and then maybe, I think, yeah, having the bottom half two-tone with black would look quite good. And then do a few bits with a pen for the grill maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of ended with that one because just the colour wasn't right, and I wanted to sort of, I wasn't getting on with the spray paint because every time it dried there'd be like this bit of the roof here, it must be like 50, like the amount of times I tried to recoat that and it was getting really thick. So yeah, but there's that. You all got to see me peel some of the masking off, which is quite cool. And to be fair, it's a lot better than I actually expected, so I guess that's a win, kind of, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, so this box has a couple of interesting ones. So here, I think I got this from a boot sale. It's pretty cool. It's an old Matchbox. Super fast. This is the Holden pickup. Made in England. Wow, that's a rare thing to see. 1977 Leslie products. This is a pretty good find, actually. I mean, obviously it's a bit play worn, and I think something is missing from the back. But I mean, the tow bar's still kind of there. I was going to restore this, but I just don't know where to start with restoring things, like especially with wheels, and I wasn't confident enough in any of my skills to sort of have a go at restoring things, and especially those two tiny little posts at the back. I don't know. It's not something I'm ready to do, especially start drilling apart something that's just this old. I do actually wonder if it's just best just to leave it alone as it is, and yeah. I was going to restore it and gift it to a friend, but I just couldn't get the guts to do it. So that sat in there, and this one was going to be a custom for the lights, because it's got little things to sort of strip down there, and two nice lens lights at the back. I was putting this off because I wasn't very good at drilling out posts at the time. Actually, I think it has it does. It has adjustable splitter. Huh. Didn't even realise that at the time. Yeah. I think I've seen different versions of this that aren't in orange that actually light up better, but I haven't mastered the act of putting lights in cars yet, which is what I want to get on to next. Now, this one is slightly special because this is a sort of concept one that worked pretty well, but there was an issue. As you can see, the interior is not in it, and I've sort of ground it all down. The problem was trying to jam the interior inside this car with all the LED gubbins and the battery. So you can sort of see through the windscreen there, sort of some solder and some bits of tape. So jammed down here is a battery. This one is screwed shut. It's been repainted in a weird green because that was the spray paint I used. Again, the paint, not a very nice finish. It's not very glossy. I don't know why. I guess they just need a buff afterwards to maybe make them shine. But in reality, I need to get some sort of Spectraflame style paintbrush paints, airbrush paints. That's what I need really to really get that proper shine, not just cheap spray paints. But yeah, the idea of this one was to try and put some lights in the car, have two front lights, those two little ones down there with a warm white, and those two back there with a red, and it would have a magnetic switch which would switch the lights on when it's near a magnet. So a really good example, if I get this weird green magnet base thing I have and we lower the car onto it, the switch activates and the lights turn on, and it looks really, really cool. So cool. The battery still works. It's been a few years, but it still has life, which is really, really nice. If I turn a couple of lights off, you'll be able to see it a little bit better there. Look at that. That's so cool. Unfortunately, because of course the interior is not in there, you can sort of see it in the rear screen as well. Now, there was two issues with this. One being I couldn't get the interior back in with all the gubbins. Two, front lights never worked. They're wired up right, but the forward voltage, I think the reds are a bit lower and sort of stop the white ones working, because the white ones have a higher forward voltage than the red. So the whites never worked, and that was a problem that stumped me. That's what kind of put me off this one. I just couldn't figure out how to get them to work on the battery. And lots of the batteries that I bought, I love how far away this works as well. Like, it's still lit. Like, that far from the magnet. So you could have this like on a, like, you could hide a magnet under a desk or something and it'd still work. That's so cool. I'll keep it away for a little bit, just try and reserve the power in it. But yeah, because of that I stopped. I mean, it did actually have some pen painting in the front lights there as well. I wanted to drill them out and put lights in there as well, but yeah. So proof that the magnetic switches work, definitely, but you could only have front or back lights with that. Yeah, if I took the back lights out, the front would actually light up, just not very bright. Right, so we've got through all that. Man, this is going to be quite a long video. Now, in these boxes, there's just random crap, really. This has got random bases if ever I needed them. This has got, again, these are all sort of made to store pieces, because I thought I was going to get really big in the custom scene and never did. So, like, there's an exhaust. In fact, we'll tip it out. There's an exhaust, a random tyre for some reason. A couple of engine pieces off of something. In fact, that one there is actually metal. That's pretty cool. Hard to get die-cast metal pieces now, especially engines. Random exhaust and a roof, a bonnet. I don't know what that's from. All kept in case I would need it. This we have random tops. I don't know what that's doing there, probably just dumped there. Random top of that surf car thing and a random bone shaker as well. I don't remember what I took that apart for, to be honest. In this one we got some bases, again, random top of an old X-Racer car. Based off a Doom Beetle, again, really not something that would interest me that much. Some interior pieces from those. See, this one I've obviously taken the engine off or something. And there's the base for that. Oh, okay, so I've obviously had the wheels off of that one as well. This will start becoming more apparent if you keep an eye, because these wheels were one of my Mad Max customs. Which, the Mad Max customs were a few of the actual ones that were somewhat successful. Not epic, but just successful. In here we have customs I wanted to do. Whoa. This was the one that set it all off. I've wanted to make the front lights of this light up for stupid, like, years. But I kept messing up. This is one I've messed up. I drilled out the posts, but, like, they all kind of just snapped. They've cracked in half and they don't fit screws. So I bought others to do more with. There's one in that pile back there somewhere, but just, again, I put it off. Random battery, that would be like what was in the in fact that probably was in that at some point, because it's green. That probably was in that Porsche. In here we got the one of the newer ones, the Dimacini Veloce. They've since made this red, so yeah, I was going to make one of these red. They've done it for me. They've kind of made a perfect version of it, except it could do with some nicer wheels and some lights in the back. I really would love to drill out the front lights as well, but it's just not going to happen. And here we have a premium casting. Great, nice. I wanted to make a custom of this because I do love the old sort of trophy truck kind of thing. The thing that's put me off this one, again, I'm not quite there with painting. I really, really want to keep the rear light details. I don't really know how people go about keeping them or like reapplying details afterwards. So yeah, I definitely want to do that one though. That would be really cool. Right, this one, we got random roof pieces. Now this one's a bit more interesting because this was a cracked screen I did with sort of some red paint for like a blood effect, which was going to go in the Charger I did, but due to how I actually customised the car, this roof piece was never fitting back in. So I left that in there. This is another one I was planning on doing. This is another Mad Max custom out of one of these little weird custom Morris Mini type things. So this one's actually pretty cool because it's metal base and metal body, this one. I'm sorry for the cam work on this one. The camera's really bad at focusing and I can't be bothered to keep switching out a manual on that. It's based, it's an MG Rover, so it's probably a slightly older model, this one. I think I got this at a boot sale as well. Again, it's actually good nick, this. Probably shouldn't have taken it apart, but I did. Nah, I wanted to use some of this old copper pipe to like make like a little barrel to go on the back, to make like a custom fuel tank and paint it like a barrel or something and have a red X on it to simulate some of the Mad Max cars from the game. I filled it with blue tack and I was hoping to sort of fill up the edges with putty and then make it into a barrel, but I mean it's almost easy just to buy a toy barrel at this point. And then we've got this weird plastic thing which has obviously come off of it. But I wanted to take that off and make it into like a weird botched up flatbed truck, and yeah, another thing. Do you know what's actually quite, maybe not quite depressing, but it's pretty dull sort of looking at all these things I haven't got around to doing. In here is a load of stuff. There's this that I took apart again to try and put lights in. I got that for bits. I think that was the engine I think I liked out of that. And I thought maybe the these bits here could be cut off for some sort of like armour plating. You can see there's a big Mad Max theme. I like the sort of Mad Max stuff. Plus I find them quite easy. They're easy customs to make because they can look rough, so you sort of get away with them being bad. I think I like the fog lights on this because they're the clear plastic. Now this was an interesting one. This sits in my mind like so much for some reason. This is again an old Chevy Matchbox Superfast. Lesney produced. Yeah, made in England in 1979. Again, really cool. It's obviously, I guess it had an opening bonnet or something, because there's like hinges here and it's now gone, which is a shame. It's very, very well worn. I was going to turn this into like a custom gasser or like drag car, and I was sort of getting these ones to maybe try and recreate the front end and do a cool engine swap, but I want to find the right engine. I want a decent metal die-cast engine. I mean, I could reuse that one, maybe put some detail in it, I guess. But then, this is a 57, and the only other 57s I can find aren't good enough. They're all kind of tuned, and I never really figured out how to cut the front off of this and stick it to this successfully. I guess some super glue and a bit of filler, but I didn't want to lose the livery. What I wanted to do, or the decals, I wanted to keep the decals, and sort of have the front end look newer, and maybe add some extra rust and things along the roof, just to make it look like a proper rat kind of drag car or gasser. I thought it looked really cool. This always sticks in my mind because I remember trying to buy it, and I said, "Oh, have you got any change?" I had a £2 coin, and like it was at a boot sale again. And I had a £2 coin. I said, "Oh, you got any change?" Because they only wanted like 50p for the car, and they were like, "Oh, no." I was like, "We'll just take the £2 then." And then she got out her change, went through it all, and gave me the change back. I was like, "Well, I did just say to take £2." I don't know. I found it very awkward because she was like silent the whole time, giving me the change. So I felt like I was I felt like I did it bad there. But I just really wanted this because I just thought it'd be really cool, and all the rest of the cars. So take some more. I was like, I didn't want them. They were like, they weren't what I wanted. I was prepared to pay £2 for it, but there we are. And now I feel like the one who was ripping her off somehow. Anyway, I've turned the light off now. That's not very good. Let's try and clear some of the decks to take a look at these. So these are all pretty much just steel carded mainlines that have been sitting up on top of all this lot, covering dust for ages. They're all customs I wanted to do. So this I bought. It's got a gun on it, look. That would be cool for a Mad Max thing. That's why I have it. Now, one of these Evos, I remember struggling so much to find these Evos, right? And then one day, I just found a stash of them in Asda. They'd obviously found their stash and added them to the rest of them, because there was 6 of these, really later on, after I just found one of them at a Smith's Toys. God, I was looking for this for ages. Really want to make a nice looking custom, put some proper wheels on it. I really love the this model of Evo. Just so cool. But again, I don't want to do it with this horrible spray paint results. I can't remember why I bought this, to be honest. Both of these were for the engines, for Mad Max style things, and maybe just parts. I don't like the Toon stuff that much. I don't understand this at all. But again, this crazy engine with all the belts and the details I thought might be quite useful. There's a regular treasure hunt here. Pretty sure I have one of these. I have one of these opened. I think I might even have one carded still. I kept seeing these everywhere, so this wasn't that rare to me. But has a proper die-cast metal engine on the back. It's very unique, but I thought you could make a seriously cool custom with that die-cast engine. What was it I wanted a die-cast engine in? Can't even remember now. Oh, the gasser. No, it's not really a gasser engine though, is it? Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe the front fog lights or something. This I wanted to actually have flashing police lights, because it's got the rear black lens on top. But I don't know if I can ever cram a flasher module in there. This I wanted to try a way of removing tampos. I completely forgot what it was. But apparently you can rub stuff on and it removes just the tampos. I thought it'd be cool just to try out. Oh, I don't even know. Maybe the jet turbine engine or something. Oh, yeah, I really liked this this casting. A really cool looking car. Again, I wanted to customise it, sort of make my own one. And try and keep the rear lights as well. But as far as this model goes, it is pretty damn cool as it is, so... Yeah, the problem is with me is I love making ideas. I think of all these ideas and I never get the time, skill or money to do them. Well, maybe not skill, but I never get the time to learn said skill to do them, because I have a million other things I want to do. Like edit these videos. That takes up enough time. I think I bought this in case I wanted the front end for that gasser. This I bought for the plastic spoiler, but it fell off and got trodden on, and now the spoiler's bent and the card's broken, so... Yeah, I did think maybe the front split would be kind of useful just for the material. This I thought would look quite cool a bit lower. Upon inspecting it again, I don't think we'd be able to get this car much lower than it is. judging by that bit at the back there, but we'll give it a go, I'm sure. I wanted to lower this a bit more, put some white walls or something on it, and maybe like repaint it pink with a white roof, but then that's probably going against what this car kind of was. Plymouth Fury. It looks so much like the cars I used to drive in the in Driver 2. Unless it, well, maybe it was based off that, but I don't know if it was. Ah, the Valentine's 57 Chevy. I bought this because the front end would match for the other one, but it's a slightly tuned version. And I got one out that was already opened of this, and it didn't quite line up with the engine. This one, this is so cool anyway. The 8 crate is a really cool casting. I can't remember what I wanted to do with this. I think from memory I wanted to make it a ute. Chop the back end out and make it into a ute. I think that's what I wanted to do. I suppose it's something I could give a go, but again you'd have to sort of fill in a few bits and make the back look nice, and that's all sort of stuff I'm not quite ready yet to do. My English seems to be just disappearing right now. Like, I even actually bought some sort of like EPO putty. It's like branded for like engines and things, God knows. But again, never really tried it out. Well, we all know I bought that for a Mad Max Custom Sorts, probably. There's the other R30 Skyline. Ford Maverick, I think I wanted to try the Tampo thing on that as well. This is the Exotique. I bought this because it's got the lensed front and rear lights in a sort of dark tint, which would look good if I put lights in it. Again, another light one. Land Rover Defender, I think I wanted to make a 6x6 of something, and I kept buying random trucks, and I couldn't decide what I wanted. This, I think I bought because of that big ram bar at the front. Part of that base would look awesome, just put on some weird, like, well, again, a Mad Max vehicle. This I think I bought for the glow wheels, to make my own glow wheels car. This was another contender to make into a 6x6. Again, it's all like the cutting of the metal and having to stick it all together and make it look nice. Possibly again another contender, but it might have been for the wheels as well. Don't actually know what I bought that one for. In fact, I don't even think I have one. But some of these will probably just end up staying carded and go in my carded collection, to be honest. Retroactive. I liked the battery. I always wanted to put an actual AAA on there. It wasn't until I got it back that I realised the AAA kind of battery thing that's on there, or the thing that's meant to look like a battery, is smaller. So I either thought I'd paint it or maybe make it longer. I mean, I could make it a 6x6 and put a proper battery on it. I don't know what it is with things being 6x6, but people have done it on YouTube and it looks amazing. Oh, the wagons with like the back of the car as a trailer. I want to do that so bad. So bad. I actually want to do it in real life as well. Unfortunately, it's very hard to find a breaker of the car that I drive. Especially, the problem is I can't find an estate one. I only find saloons. Don't know. Honestly, this is like the most dusty of them all. God, it's awful. And finally, a Ford Sierra Cosworth. I was going to do a custom of this as well, even if it was just putting some nicer wheels on. Again, did I do it? No. So in other words, this is a video about how bloody lazy I am. Yeah, that's pretty much what this is. Right, now I've got to clear up all this mess to get out the 5 customs that actually kind of worked. Right, there we are. It's a bit cleaner now. So I'll bring on the customs that sort of worked. So we'll start with my first proper custom. I think I called the series on this one the Duster Thruster. Now this has actually been part of my channel banner for years now. We had the original the original Plymouth Duster. That's what it is. So I obviously called mine the Duster Thruster for some reason. So the original Plymouth Duster was part of the Zamac series, and like I kept seeing it in the shops, and I got a couple sort of for cheap. They were selling them off, so I decided to make one into a custom. Now, the idea was a Mad Max style car, sort of on the more simpler line, but big engine, some crazy exhaust. I wanted to sort of make it all rusty and keep the some of the flames, which did work out kind of well. But I also thought, because it's like a regular car, maybe it had a bit of a impact and got a bit of crash damage. So I had a go at doing some crash damage on the back there as well, missing a bit of its rear fender and bumper, all but bent in. I think it looks pretty good, to be fair. I used a paper clip, if I do recall, for the exhaust, which I think just works really well. Like, it's just a random bit of tube they've used and sort of bent them up to resemble some kind of exhaust shape. Proper sort of DIY build. This big engine come off of another vehicle. I can't remember which. But I know this originally had a die-cast engine. So that die-cast engine that we saw earlier was from this. But yeah, I tried to make it look quite realistic with the rust. The pigments I used gave this actually a 3D effect. So it just looks even better with that. Yeah, pretty awesome. I do like how the flames still kind of show through on the sides there. And it's like even got a few clean bits. As if it's been sort of, the rust has been worn away a bit in its hard life on the wasteland. Yeah, pretty awesome. I even painted in just one of the lights. The other one got smashed out, you see. But yeah, all in all, I was very impressed with that as my first proper custom. Hence why it's been the channel banner for so long. Now, we'll move on to this one. This one, for some reason, has made its way into the display case for no reason. This is kind of weird. I bought this like glittery red paint, and I thought it was going to be the best thing in the world. And it kind of just looks meh. It came out sort of this matte finish. There's a little bit of glitter to it. The red's not quite what I'd like, but it's kind of cool. This is the muscle bound. This was a fancy casting that I thought was really, really cool. I really love this fancy casting. Yeah, I want to get some proper light details going on as well. But as you can tell, the paint's chipping in places. It was never fully finished, and this stuff was so awful. Like, I sprayed it on the desk, and like the smell didn't go for like weeks. It was really thick. There's still like areas and like drawers on my desk that are just covered in this pink paint stuff. Like, it just went everywhere, and the final result wasn't even that good, and it stayed sticky for ages. It's weird. I don't even think, no, the posts are just kind of it's just kind of pushed together and held over time. I don't understand what actually, there we go. It's just kind of grip fit. Ugh, it's full of dust as well. Yeah, so I sort of repainted this one. That's all I really did with it. It's alright. It sort of ended up in the display. I mean, if you look at it from a distance, it's not actually too bad. If I actually hold it up so you can see it, that'd help. From a distance, it ain't too bad, but up close, no, it's not great. So, the next one here is the one with those big rear wheels that I took off another car. So I wanted to give this the one that kind of lifted effect, so it sort of sits back end riding up, so you're facing down to the ground. And I thought I'll make this one sort of a semi-ute style vehicle, and obviously give it a massive engine. So that's what the so that's one of the engines that come off the other cars. That sort of surfing Beetle sort of car thing. That one. That was the engine off of that. Relocated it to the back of this Chevelle. I did love the Chevelle wagon. I really wanted to do a custom of this. So, big old engine at the back. I left the sort of rear posts in for just like the fact there's like a proper wrap build. I was going to actually put two big pillars out. Like, they have those big like pillars that come out and they'll put like stuff on top to sort of scare people away. I never really figured out what to do that with. I tried some wire, some sort of craft wire, but it never really worked. I did the same here. In the end, I ended up using a paper clip and gluing it in to make this sort of cool looking like kind of roof bar, and on there we have a random sort of beacon or a random searchlight, which that is the wire that powers it there. So one of the wires, sadly it don't work anymore. It's got a switch inside the window there. As you can see, there's a switch inside the window. Yeah, the battery's obviously run out in this one. but it actually worked for quite a while. So what actually happens is the wire goes from the battery to the switch. From that switch it goes up this tiny little thread of wire here and to that end of the LED, and this is a really, really tiny LED. It was really hard to wire it up. And then the other bit, to actually hold the LED on, it's soldered to this metal bar, and the other wire is connected to that end of the metal bar. No, it's actually connected to that end. You can see it in there just about. It's connected to that metal bar, so the circuit's made through that roof bar. It's really cool. A little bit of light detail, did the bumper, did all the rust effect. It's very dusty as well. It almost actually adds effect though. The paint, I think I did a matte black and then just sort of sprayed over a bit of this grey to kind of get a speckled kind of look, and then just did some dirt and some rust over the top of it there. And of course these massive wheels, which are very ugly, just sort of glued on the bottom there. But yeah, it kind of works. I'll lower the camera a bit so you can actually see these cars. That'd be a really good idea. So yeah, that works quite well. With the light working, it's even cooler. But it's got one of those really horrible, the old ones I used to use. Yeah, I'm not going to change that now. Actually getting the wires to stick to the batteries was another problem. You couldn't solder to them. I usually just taped them, but the amount of times they'd lose connection was just... It could even be the battery is actually charged, it's just lost connection. Right, keeping on the theme of Mad Max still, here we have the custom Dodge Charger. Now, this started life as a pretty cool looking boot sale find, but nice. I'm adding patina to it already. So I'll overlay on the screen what this used to look like. It used to look like a cool orange Charger, but it was a little bit beat up and I wanted to make a custom from it. Now I wasn't sure where to go, whether I wanted to make a custom that was like a cool custom or anything different, or go Mad Max again. Now I asked people, and one of the comments, whether it's still there or not I don't know, was to burn it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to get creative here. So I went with the Mad Max custom, and I decided to paint the car I'd use fire. Now, this went, not only it went amazingly, but also backfired miserably, because I didn't realise how low the melting point of the Zamac metal is of these. So I set fire to it using my favourite flamethrower combo of a can of brake clean and a lighter. So the paint all melted away and blackened, but it started melting. So that front end there melted, that all melted away. The roof melted in, as you can see there. But yeah, look, it's still got its rear tampo with the Dodge logo on the back there. It's still even shiny as well. Still got the stripes on the hood. And obviously all the paint has kind of molten away of this kind of gold speckled kind of finish. And even like the little badges, like the Hot Wheels logo still on it. It looks so good. The biggest issue was with the things melting. So the car was all bent. As you can see, it kind of all curves. The roof caved in. I did accidentally punch a hole in it. I tried to bend it back out with a screwdriver and it just went straight through. So it's all kind of melted and set back really hard. You've got this almost perfect looking dent in the front there. So getting it all back together was really, really tricky. It just didn't want to quite fit. So this one has some massive exhaust from another car on the back there, pointing down in a different direction just to be a little bit different, kind of a bit more like wings that way. It also has the front end of a bone shaker, so that's where the bone shaker that was in the video earlier come from. So we've got the front end of a bone shaker there, and I sort of added this kind of red effect here. So the screen that had the crack and the blood was going to be in this, but obviously it couldn't fit because the roof melted. But I did get the interior in, and I sort of made it, instead of having that, I'd made it look like they've hit someone or something, you know, hit some roadkill. But yeah, by far this is probably one of the coolest sort of concepts, like using fire and how well the paint has come out. Perhaps if I was more prepared for it to melt, it could have gone better, but yeah, I think I'm pretty chuffed with that one. And lastly, the final car after this stupidly long pointless video is this, the Datsun 510. Probably one of the first half decent things I did, to be fair. So where do we start? Where do we start? So what I did with this one is very simple. I just changed the paint and changed the wheels. So I put the light details are just simply, I masked out that area. So the grille was just the original Zamac, and the lights are just painted in with some permanent marker. Same for the back, just permanent marker the lights on. Maybe with a little paintbrush I could do them because they're quite big. Could possibly just about print some tampos maybe. But yeah, I thought they come out pretty well. It's quite a basic one. But this is one of the, again, I think this was like the third custom I did. The paint is actually some Halford's Ford Blue. In fact, I might even have the spray can still. No, I was wrong. The paint is actually Peugeot Tivoli Blue. I quite like the little speckles in it. And obviously it's a little bit different than it shows on there, but I've painted it on a brighter surface. This is straight on the Zamac, no undercoat. And it's come out pretty well. There's a few bits of pitting, but that is just the Zamac. Perhaps a bit of filler, not filler, a bit of etch primer would have helped with that. But yeah, I think the colour's awesome. It's just a really nice colour. That car spray paint came out a lot better, so I might actually try to do a dip dye with this stuff, but I need a second colour to go in with it. And I also did a wheel swap and put some nice looking custom wheels on there with a bit of writing on them. And you can tell this one's older because it's got the older style screws, which weren't very nice to work with. They just rounded off so easily. And I also did a little bit of detail on the old exhaust on the back there. So yeah, there we have it. Wow, that was a lot to go through. Whew, so there we are. That is kind of the history of my custom Hot Wheels. Not really a lot to show off, to be honest. Mostly just fails. Yeah, I've been meaning of doing this video for a little while now. And here we are. In fact, what's the time? It is now currently 9 minutes till New Year's Day. Wow. All the effort goes into my channel. Either that or I just have nothing better to do on New Year's Eve. But hey, nice glass of port and all is well. So I hope you found that interesting. This video will be long and probably quite drony and draggy, but I hope it's quite interesting to sort of go over some of the things I've done. Like I say, I really want to get back into this, get some kind of skills built up to do it. It just is really difficult with the time. I was kind of hoping you'd be interested in sort of the learning curve, and perhaps it's kind of, I don't know, almost like kind of maybe make some people feel better, because I know some people have said they struggle to do customs, like especially doing the drilling. I've kind of got used to that somewhat now, but it's still a little bit tricky, to be fair. And like, I just kind of want everyone else to know it is tricky. Don't just look at the people that are big on YouTube doing, because it's like they are just good at it, but they've had the time to perfect the skill. They've probably got a bit of a knack for it anyway. And yeah, they do make it look so easy. Thank you for all those who watched. If you're interested in any of these to be completed or any of these ideas to come back, I definitely want to have another go with the dip dyeing stuff, and I definitely want to do further with these LEDs. There's these LEDs that you can put inside a coil that light up. Now, if I can get rid of batteries needing to be in the cars, that will be great. The only problem is they need a tiny little coil, and they end up being like the size of a thumbnail, which again is still going to be tricky to get in some cars. I have had the idea to maybe wire all the lights, the LEDs, again the LEDs have to be so tiny and you have to hide all the wires, but wiring them all up to a coil inside the bottom of the car, and then when it matches up to a coil underneath and like a pad, light them up that way. But it's kind of I'm alright with electrics in terms of like just general wiring, like mains voltage and stuff, but when it gets to circuitry, it's a whole different world. And when it comes to making circuit boards to like conduct over coils and things like that, it's just a completely different thing. But again, something I want to look into. Just finding the time with work, filming the regular videos and running like 3 other channels is very tricky. But yeah, let me know down below what you want to see. If customs ain't your thing, then don't worry. I don't think they won't be taking over the channel anytime soon. I know that much. But yeah, I better end this now. I've been going on too long. Thanks for watching. I wish you all the best. Good luck in your peg hunts and your customs if you're doing them. Let me know down below if you do customs and what sort of customs do you like to do. Personally, my favourite's got to be the Mad Max ones because, well, there's room for error. As we could tell with that one, where it literally melted. Oh, he's had enough, look. He's off. And on that note, so am I. See you in the next one.